Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick, flying solo. The Solo Warriors, they lost 104-101 in Toronto to the Raptors, a team that is not really trying to win, a team that is tanking. 9-31, the Warriors are 19-20. And I feel honestly like we are just, as Warriors fans, just in a massive holding pattern. That's it. This team is as mediocre as we've seen with Steph healthy, with Draymond healthy. And I honestly think like I don't want to say that there's no hope, but I always talk about how as a sports fan, the currency of sports fans is hope. That's why we wait for trade deadlines. That's why lottery picks are so exciting, etc. Free agency, because there's hope. There's hope that something is going to change and that your team will be lifted up. And right now, it just doesn't feel like this team is going to go anywhere. We've talked about how there are no moves out there that are instantly going to vault the Warriors into playoff contenders or championship contenders. So the best we can do here is hope that they can get into the regular playoffs. So basically the 6th seed and avoid the play-in. And yeah, dudes are out and dudes have underperformed, but man, this team is just gross. It just is. It's just not fun to watch. And as fans, I mean, if the product isn't good, the best we can say, instead of just saying, people voicing their anger or displeasure or tossing out fake trades and hypotheticals and all that stuff, is basically just to tune out. You know what I mean? I'll keep tuning in, but it's just the product isn't good. People will start tuning out and maybe they'll just do something. It's just, they don't have good vibes. And I know early on the vibes were good and everybody was like supporting each other. But if you just look at this team, as my buddy Aram in Toronto, who's been on this show many a time, they're just too small. They're not athletic and they just don't have enough offensive talent. Kuminga is out. We know that. And his value to this team is paramount based on what we've seen. No, he's not fully formed and there's still a long way to go with him, but dang, man, he would at least have been fun, intriguing, engaging, interesting to watch on the court outside of these retreads and what you're going to get dudes, and again, no disrespect. I mean, they're all like solid players in their own little way. Like Schroeder's had a long career. But like when you have Schroeder and you have Buddy Hield, the two guys who are supposed to help Steph take that load off, especially with Kuminga out. And I know that Schroeder, he replaced Melton and Melton was the great fit. But when those guys go 4 for 16 from 3, Hield was 2 for 10. And then 8 for 25 from the field. Hield was 3 for 13. That just ain't going to cut it. And I know Kerr says all the right things, that he trusts him. He'll always put him out there. What else are you going to say? You know what I mean? That's Kerr's way as a player and as somebody who has a lot of built-in credit with this team and ownership. He can say those things because he has the backs of his players in that regard. But we all know that Buddy just hasn't cut it. I mean, he was great the first couple weeks. It was amazing. And I knew he wouldn't keep hitting at that clip, but to see him fall off this badly, and lose basically a must-have game, which should have been an easy win in any other capacity, that's just disappointing. And again, we all love watching Steph play, but there's no one else on this team, at least for me, like I'm just so exhausted by this, like that. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait to watch, Schroeder play like pesky defense, or Wiggins, as much as I've appreciated that dude to some extent over the years, like watch Wiggins just be his kind of hot and cold, lukewarm, room temp self, or Trace Jackson Davis enthrall us with his solid play until he doesn't play very hard. So it's just not very fun. And I know that the Warriors are probably trying to figure something out with the trades, but like I said before, they just got to do something. I don't know what that move is. Later this week, I'm going to have an episode where we talk about some potential trades and what may or may not happen, what could happen. But everything that I've read and that I'm hearing, in all honesty, just doesn't seem like it. You know what I mean? There's no move that's just going to vault them. It'll make it more interesting, but it'll also handcuff. Some of these moves will just handcuff the team moving forward into the offseason. And, you know, a lot of the chatter, which I'm sure some of you have heard, is like, oh, optionality and, you know, having in the offseason, maybe some star becomes available and then you take your first rounders and you take Kuminga and you take whomever else that is valuable or adds up to salary and then make that trade to get like another third star or whatever. But I just don't think that's going to be it. You know, I think it's clear that Steph, even though he is, you know, still amazing, whatever, even the Steph stans will admit that he is starting to show age a little bit. You know what I mean? Like the knees, that's one thing. And just having to carry such a load, he's going to get more worn down. And it's always, you know, fun to watch him play, but sometimes when it's like this, it's like, geez, you know, just I don't know what they can do right now. And I'm not trying to sound pessimistic. I'm kind of just like, you know, it's basketball. There's a lot of other things in life to worry about, you know. Shout out to the firefighters in Los Angeles. But, you know, with this squad, they're just a bunch of like dudes, you know, they're just a bunch of dudes. There's nobody that really pops off the roster when you look at the box score is like, oh man, this person could be it, or this person could. There's Kuminga, yeah, and Podziemski. I mean, maybe when he comes back, all of a sudden he turns into last season Podziemski, but who knows? Maybe he's seen something and he's had a chance to take a step away and he has a better understanding of what he needs to do, what he can do. But again, that's wishful thinking, and that's also not going to put them over the top in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, holding pattern until the Warriors do something. They have until February 6th to make a move. So right now, we're just going to be trying to figure out like what can really happen. You know, do people really think that Jimmy Butler is going to work out here? No, I don't think so. I mean, as I've said before, just people want to see it because they don't want to see Steph's quote unquote, you know, last few years wasted. But a lot of those people who just want to see it are NBA fans who just want to see something, right? Like they don't care about the future. And there's Warriors fans that don't care about the future. There's Steph fans who masquerade as Warriors fans that don't care about, you know, the future of this franchise. Once Steph is gone, that's fine, you know? But I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the answers. And oftentimes I feel like there's a path forward, but the first step, I guess, is just trying to find out what you can do, who you can move, all that stuff. I mean, watching this game against the Raptors, man, it's like, do you remember the pre-2021 draft? Scotty Barnes was a guy that was slated to be like, you know, where the Warriors picked at seventh or eighth, but then he quickly rose up the charts and became I think the fourth pick. And so he was the one that would have been a really, really good overall fit for the Warriors. And, you know, he has his flaws too, but man, just having somebody with that energy and that dynamic ability, that would be helpful, but that's neither here nor there. And then, you know, Jacob Pertl, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, I totally forgot how to say his name again. It's been years, but remember when people were talking about trading when he was on the Spurs? I would have preferred to trade Wiseman for him as opposed to Gary Payton II. You know what I mean? Because you knew Gary Payton II was going to be hurt all the time, and here we are. So, you know, it's everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, more or less. Yeah, other things could be more difficult, and they could be way worse than one game under 500, but it's a somewhat comedy of errors. And, the more I look at somebody like Schroeder or Buddy Hield, I mean, they're not as bad as like a, Kelly Oubre type in that era. I know Oubre's playing a little bit better at this point in his career, but the Kelly Oubre type in the 2020-21 season, you know what I mean? Some like guys that just aren't it. They just don't have it. But, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I hope Dunleavy, Lacob, whomever, they figure something out and they pull some kind of trigger, because if this can't. They legitimately cannot just leave this team as is after the trade deadline. They would get shellacked even more so in the media by the fans for not doing anything. They just have to at least make a move that makes them a little bit better. That at the very least, I mean, sure, I'd love a move that makes them a lot of bit better, but I don't see that there. But they have to do something, and then I'm sure they're going to want to hold on to some their trade capital for the summer. But again, and that's assuming that someone's actually available at that point. That's not like 35, 36-year-old Jimmy Butler. So again, not to be all negative, but it's just not pretty right now. And in the past, I've always seen hope for this team, whether some guys develop or some guys get better. But man, just, the box score, right? It's like even Moses Moody, especially Moses Moody, 14 minutes, 0 for 6, 0 for 3 from 3, 1 point, -10, the lowest plus minus on the night. And I'm not trying to pick on him, but it's like, dang, man, like I wish Moody had been able to develop his game more, because like he should be able to beat Lindy Waters. You know what I mean? He should be able to compete more with pods for minutes. He should be pushing Wiggins, but he's not. And I'm afraid that like at this point in his career, he just is this. He just is what he is. Kuminga, he has a higher ceiling, always has, and he wants to be great, and he's always pushing to be great. Whereas like I think Moody, he's just settled into this mid-bench, end-of-bench role player that is just willing to ride it out and take it. And it's a bummer, because I think he could have been a lot better than this, and there's still time. But, the more he goes into his years, and he's signed with the Warriors, so he's going to get more of this treatment. It just, it is what it is. But anyway, hopefully this roster only lasts a little bit longer, and we can have at least some real hope, or I'll even take false hope, like where I kid myself into thinking that they're actually going to have a shot. So just change something and give me some false hope. I'll take it, man. Anyway, hope y'all are good out there. And, it's just basketball. Let's tell ourselves that. All right. That's all I got.